So hear me out when I say this. Be prepared for what you're about to hear. It doesn't have a happy ending, so be warned. I was basically just a typical animator and character designer for the new Alvin and the Chipmunks live-action movie that would be released in December of 2007. Before the movie would be released, I went on one of the computers to open a file for this final scene where Alvin was trying to open a bottle of champagne, or whatever it was. When the cork popped off the bottle by mistake, instead of it hitting the glass, the scene glitched to where the cork hit Theodore's head very hard, and Theodore was dead in an instant. Blood was dripping out of poor Theodore's head. I sat there and tried pausing the video, but it wouldn't pause. In that moment, I was a bit scared, but not too scared yet. I thought I was going crazy, or maybe it was just the studio team pulling a prank on me or something as a sick joke. So I continued to watch the footage of the last scene. It went to the scene where Alvin says with an evil chuckle instead of a nervous one,
Oops.
As off as that was, it concerned me a bit because it seemed out of character, because it seemed like Alvin did that on purpose and not by accident, as it was originally supposed to be, but without killing Theodore. So I wondered who the hell edited that part of the scene. I still tried pausing the footage, but it still wouldn't pause. Maybe something was wrong with the computer, like if it had a virus of some sort. The scene turned to Claire, asking, "You're not gonna say it?" Dave responds with a nope. The scene then switched to the champagne where it was pouring out of the bottle and onto the cords, to the electricity, to the lights that was on the floor. The lights were supposed to go completely out in that scene, but instead, they were flickering. Dave and Claire were confused in that scene too. Simon looked toward his brother Alvin in horror. Alvin's eyes were black and there was blood dripping down his eyes with a grin on his face. The scene then showed Alvin lunging towards Simon and trying to kill him while the lights were still flickering. Alvin's claws were very sharp and ripped Simon's throat open as it left a big gash in his neck as Simon was choking on his own blood that was spewing out from the front of his neck onto Alvin's face. Dave tried to stop Alvin and so did Claire. All of a sudden, a creepy yet familiar tune started playing. It was Bad Day, but it sounded very creepy and distorted. I couldn't bear to watch any more of it. I tried to pause the footage, just constantly trying to hit the left click button on the mouse. I was trying to get it to go away, and tried exiting the footage file completely. That didn't work either. Suddenly, the scene shoots to Alvin with just a blank stare on his face, with his black eyes and blood still dripping down his eyes with that horrifying grin on his face, with glitches every now and then, for about 15 seconds. It's like he was looking at me, just staring into my soul at the time. After 15 seconds, the scene glitched to a black screen with Dave screaming bloody murder, and hearing Alvin killing Dave. It sounded like Alvin was scratching up Dave's face, with Claire just screaming in horror. Then, the black screen glitched to Alvin clawing out both Dave's eyes in a very gruesome way, and just destroying his face as he dug into it, with Dave's face bleeding very bad. Glitches here and there, just showing the same scene over and over again, with the Bad Day song still sounding very creepy and distorted, and with Claire screaming as well. The scene then eventually glitched out to the black screen again, but with Alvin's face barely visible and looking very scary. He then faded out saying, in a very deep voice. The video file stopped playing and I was just terrified. Ross Bagdasarian Jr., the producer of Alvin and the Chipmunks, came through the door. I was spooked for a moment. He asked me how the final scene looked. I told him it was very horrifying and disturbing. Ross chuckled a bit, telling me that I was kidding. I told him that I wasn't kidding at all and that this was very serious. I even showed him the footage by replaying it. But the only problem was, it was playing like normal, like how the original scene was. Ross laughed at me, thinking I was crazy. I told him that I wasn't crazy, and I also told him what I saw and everything. He didn't believe me, and he just rolled his eyes, saying for me to get back to work. He walked out of the door, slamming it shut. Out of curiosity, I played the footage once more to see if I was really going insane after all. Turns out, it played the same exact horrifying thing that I just experienced, so I tried clicking out of the video file, but it didn't work. One of the other computers turned on, along with many others, showing the footage as well. I rolled my chair out and away from the desks they were all sitting on. Terrified, I got up quickly out of the chair I was sitting on and ran out of the door into the other room in the studio and slammed the door shut and locked it with the key. Everyone shot their heads up looking at me with concern. I told them to never go in that room ever. The crew members asked me why, but I told them they wouldn't believe me if I told them. They nodded and understood. Ever since that day, I quit my job working for them because I was so paranoid to go in that room. I never came back. I promised myself to never set foot or go near that studio and that room again. The next time I dared to even go to a computer to play a video file, I'm thinking twice before I ever hit the play button. You just never know what could happen. But damn straight I never thought of Alvin and the Chipmunks the same way as I did before in that horrific experience.